Let's get started. Andrea, maybe you can start us out.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight and taking the time out of your evening and probably busy week to listen in. First to Jaz, who is our special guest, as well as just to hear a little bit about Kemba and I and what we've been doing. Really, we begun this series out of the demand that we've seen people have in terms of interest in what we're doing, what they can do within that to sort of build wealth for themselves. And so we started back in February with what we called our Building Generational Wealth series. And out of that, we had a huge number of people that expressed an interest and participated in that those 4 sessions that we hosted over February and Black History Month. And so we just thought it's fitting to build and bring something to you this summer, being that been having a lot of interest again in just building, right? And so that's why we called it the Legacy Series, because most people are not just thinking of themselves and what they do today, but what they can do for their retirement and for their children and their children's children. And so that's how we've arrived at the Legacy Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Andrea. Many of you already know me. Kemba is here, my business partner, and our special guest tonight, Jaz Takar, who's going to share with you some of the things that he has in terms of knowledge and what's going on now. We know that there's always changes in the industry, and it's nice to have an expert like Jaz, who is been in the field for 25 plus years. He's got a phenomenal podcast as well that he shares with you all his knowledge. And so I'm not sure, Kemba, if you're doing a presentation, but
Can you not see my screen?
Absolutely not. I'm just winging it. Yes. So, and then, in terms of Kemba and I, she's going to share a little bit about who we are as a partnership. We started, Jaz, you've definitely been a great mentor along the way for us. We bumped into you and we're so thankful for that because you've helped us understand a lot more about real estate. And one of the things that we love about real estate is that along the way, as we met experts, they've always been, like Jaz, have been willing to coach and educate and mentor us. And so without a mentor and someone as connected and strong in the industry as Jaz, I think it would be much harder to be successful. So we appreciate the knowledge that you have imparted on us and the, I guess, inspiration that you've provided as well, yourself and your team, right? You've got a fantastic team. If I need an expert or I need something, I can reach out to one of them and it doesn't matter where it is in the province, or they will help me find that expert. And I love that.
We can do a little shout out to Ronald and
oh my gosh, yeah, Ronald's been a great gem.
For sure.
I needed someone for fire safety and inspection out in Cambridge, and I called your team, and they were able to lead me in the right direction. So I love that. So Kemba, a little bit about us, or do you want me to cover that?
Yeah, no. So we are a family business. Andrea and I, although we got a bumpy start, we've been doing presentations like this for some time. So it seems it's funny to have this happen of nights of all night. But we encourage our community to get involved in investing. We share what we've been doing. We're women investors. And we just want to help people to build the confidence that they can get into real estate and investing the way we have and seen the gains, because it's a lot of it is time. It's not just strategy, it's also time. So you need to make use of your time and get in to the market. And so we share secrets as we go, and we always try to get people to start with thinking about why they're getting into investing, because you really have to know your reasons so that you can gear yourself to the right type of properties and the right types of investments. So this is Andrea and I. And
I'm still having people message me that can't get in.
So Marcia has just messaged everyone with the updates to the link. And so hopefully I'm seeing people get in now. I see Craig is coming in. So as a company, we do a variety of things. We do a lot of education and coaching. We do some podcasts, not yet at Jazz's level, but we're working our way there. And we have short and long-term rentals. We also help folks who want to set up their rentals, especially when it's a furnished rental. We do help with that. And we also do consulting and affiliate services where if you have a property and you're thinking it's underutilized, not making enough income, we also help you to strategize and improve that property to make sure that it is bringing in the income, because that's part of the wealth building, to make sure that your property is performing at its best. We rely on many partners like Jaz, as we mentioned. This is an example of a family we've helped.
Yeah, so this family, there's a bit of history with this family, and I find that I'm sure that you've had the same, Jaz, in your career. As we started, prior to building and connecting with Kemba in terms of a business, I've been doing this for some time. And these are, friends and almost like family that I've built relationships with over time, that now really they built their own real estate holdings and principal residence, and now they're helping their children buy into beyond their principal residence for the children. They're now buying, secondary rentals. And so that's what this was a perfect example of how you can start that legacy and help your children do it, right? So that it's not it's not something that you have to wait until you pass on, right? You can actually start transferring wealth and helping them build wealth in their own right during their lifetime.
For sure. And part of the things we share with people as they grow and as they learn is to diversify. So what we've done is we bought different types of real estate, and across different regions, and looking to even try different regions that we've already been in. So we've been across Ontario, London, Kingston, obviously Toronto, Brampton, and those areas. And we've tried different types of real estate, from condominiums to duplexes and triplexes to now multifamily units. And so we find that we've seen a plethora of investment types, and we can share what the best parts of those are, and what things to look for and what things to look out for, and maybe try to avoid as well. And that's what's helped us to grow our portfolio. So, Andrea, when is the best time to invest?
Now, always now. Okay, you don't have to wait. You can't time the market. You just get in and you what real estate does, and as it builds wealth for you over time.
So now, without further ado, we would like to turn the floor over to our guest, Jaster Carr, who is a real estate broker, investor, and awesome podcast host. He has multiple guests like Gary Vaynerchuk, Bob Proctor. I don't know if you recognize those names, Robert Kiyosaki, but those are some heavy hitters. And he is always sharing, always teaching, and ensuring that he's inspiring those on their own journey. So Jaz, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. Just a big shout out to both Kemba and Andrea for putting on events like this. As a content creator, I know how tough it is to schedule events, promote the event, get people to come on. There's always technological / logistical issues that come up, and funny enough, they always come up in the last second or so. I've been a content creator now for 3 years, and I try to produce about 20 to 23 pieces of content a day on all the platforms. So I totally understand how tough it is, and especially at a time like that we're all in right now. I think we need a lot more positivity, and you two are putting it out there, collaborating with other like-minded people and investors, seasoned investors, rookie investors, wannabe investors. I always laugh with people and I say that real estate investor groups are the most interesting groups around, like different than entrepreneurial business networking meetups, because investors, real estate investors specifically, have this tendency to always share. And like, if you get an investor started to talk about like their journey, like be careful, because you're going to be in for a long conversation, because they they always want to share their successes, but they're also willing to share their mistakes, because we all remember getting our first property and how tough it might have been from a financial perspective, or maybe just a mindset perspective. And so that's why I think one of the main reasons that investors share so much. And so again, just a big kudos to you ladies, to you two first, and second to everybody else. I mean, at the end of the day, it's getting to 25, 26 degree weather here in the city of Toronto. And so it's nice, and hopefully it's nice for wherever you're signing in. And so I appreciate that you gave me the time. Just a quick background on myself and my company, because as Kemba and Andrea were mentioning all the nice things and the checks in the mail, ladies, like, don't worry, thank you for all the nice words. I really, really appreciate that. Nothing that I do would be possible without the giants that I'm standing on, and that's my team. And I've been blessed enough to have a team of 47 real estate agents and 11 support staff. And it's that support staff really that are behind the camera, behind the scenes, that don't necessarily get all, don't get that nice picture that I see on the screen right now. And so I just obviously always want to give them a shout out, because I wouldn't be here without them. Myself and my business partner, we've been at this real estate game specifically coming up to 16 years now. When Andrea mentioned 25 years, that's me being in the sales and service industry. But as I mentioned, we have 47 realtors that cover the greater Toronto area. So for us, that greater Toronto area extends from, I would say, Hamilton over to Bowmanville / Newcastle, right up to Aurelia, and then down to the lake. And that's what we've been focusing on for the last 16 years. And our company name is REC Canada. And the reason we called it REC Canada is because we can also put people in touch with investor savvy realtors right across the country. So if you're looking at possibly a property that you just want maybe a second set of eyes on, i.e. in Timbuktu, Saskatchewan, or in Alberta and BC, always feel free to reach out, and we can get one of our investor savvy realtors that we can make connections for you as well. And all that's done at no cost. I think our business mantra really around here at my company is that we lead with education. It's why we are always more than happy to come on and collaborate and do events like this. Also, the podcast that I've been doing for the last 3 years has been probably the biggest game changer in our business, because that's where we allowed everyone to be flies on the wall of conversations that I like to have anyways. You see some of the names on the screen here, and there's so many more. In fact, these are the bigger names that you see, and bigger names in the sense of they have a lot of publicity and bigger businesses. But believe it or not, my most watched and listened to episodes are with guys and gals that nobody would ever know. In fact, they're the ones that went from 0 to 11 properties in a year and a half, 2 years, or someone just talking about getting into their first investment property. And so at any time, I think there's a little over 161 podcast episodes, but there's over 500 videos on my YouTube page, and it's all truly just documenting my journey in investing in real estate, documenting other people's journey with investing in real estate, and just tons of tips and strategies. And so I implore you to fool around on my YouTube page. Always press that subscribe button. My mom loves that kind of stuff, so I would really, really appreciate that. But today's conversation, I thought would be best if I kind of speak about what I'm seeing in the greater Toronto market, some of the market indicators that I like to look at when we help investors. We've been blessed enough to help a little over 700 families every single year for the last 5 years now, and out of which It's not all investors, because we help first-time home buyers, smart sizers, meaning moving up to a bigger home or a smaller home. But 400 out of those 700 families that we help are investors. So I know what investors are looking for. I also know like what shies people away from certain properties and how we do due diligence. And so I think I'll go out on a soapbox or a rant for the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. And then I would love, and I think I'm probably best, and I'm very humble about it, at Q&A. And so if you guys just throw questions at me, as I mentioned, I'll probably be best at rapid fire. This way I can really give you as much value as possible in terms of if you're working a deal right now, if you're looking at something, or you're just your current situation, if you're comfortable sharing here. And if not, we can always talk on a one-on-one basis, and the girls and the ladies know the best way to get in touch with me. But when it comes to the GTA market, it's where I'm born and raised, so I'm very biased. So let me start my conversation and discussion there. And the reason is A, because I'm born and raised here, but B, because if you look at the past 100 years, and that's obviously a very, very big sample size, you'll come to learn really quickly, and this is factual, this is not me with a crystal ball trying to play Nostradamus or anything. I mean, this is factual. You look at the last 100 years in the Greater Toronto Area, you'll come to see that every decade on average, values have doubled. Now, if we look at, for anybody in the Greater Toronto Area, in the last decade, you've probably seen anywhere from a 3.5 to 4 time increase on your values. But I always like to speak about that large sample size of 100 years, or what I quote a lot is even breaking it down to the last 40 years. You see an average increase in values in 40 years of 7.2% compounding every single year. And there's really no other place in the country, maybe other than Vancouver, that sees similar numbers to that when you look into that time frame of 40 years. So then the question becomes, why? Why has the GTA, even in the height of a pandemic, a lockdown where borders have been closed and nobody coming in, why did we actually even see a 21%, 21.6% to be exact, in the last year? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, when there's immigration coming into the country of Canada, 50% of people come into the GTA. And number one reason being because that's where the majority of head offices of the biggest corporations are. They're right in the downtown core. We also have some of the best schools here. We have some of the best hospitals. It's a very multicultural city, if not one of the most multicultural cities, if not number one. It's definitely one of in the world in terms of multiculturalism. And so that's why you see 50% of people that come into the country go into the Greater Toronto Area. Now, that's more of the demand side of the equation. When you look at the supply, that is where you'll start to see a big reason of values continuously rising, and that 7.2% increase. If you look at the Greater Toronto Area and the south side of us, we obviously have the lake. And so you can't build it. We haven't figured out what Dubai has and be able to build on water. But on the northern side, we have this legislation, this Greenbelt legislation that came into effect about 16 years ago that restricts builders and developers and doesn't allow them to build any type of subdivision. So for anybody who's new or has never been to the Greater Toronto Area, it looks like we have a lot of land, especially when you go to the northern part of our city. But developers can't build there. And so it's why you see so many condos being built. Toronto is number 2 in the world, second to only Singapore in how many cranes are in the sky, because you can't build out subdivisions, don't have enough land. So the only thing you can do is build upwards. Now, when people drive down 2 major highways that lead to downtown Toronto, the Gardner and the DVP, I've always gotten the question like, oh my God, who's buying all these condos? See, that's never really the right question to ask, because if you see a crane in the sky, that means 80% of the building has already been sold. In fact, the developer who's building that condo cannot get the construction financing. They don't qualify for the construction financing from the lender unless they get to that 80%. So the right question to really be asking is who's already bought these condos. So that's one of the main reasons. Again, it always comes down to, so even if you look at a property in Calgary, look at a property in Florida, look at a property in India, you always, in my opinion, want to look at supply and demand, because that's going to be the indicator, that's going to tell us what's going to happen with values. Now, there's certain other market indicators, specifically the months of inventory. There's always a lot of noise around what's happening with average prices and how many sales are happening, how many days on market are properties listing. Those are okay, like good to look at, but at the end of the day, the number one market indicator that you always want to see and ask your realtor or take a look at and dive into is months of inventory, because that tells us what the supply and demand ratio is. And so if you have months of inventory in a specific area of anywhere from 0 to 3 months, then you're in a seller's market. If you have 3.5 to 5.5 months, you're in what is called a balanced market. 6 months and above, you're in a buyer's market. How is that determined? Well, that's determined by how many sales happened in the previous month. And if no one were to put up their home on the market or condo on the market as of today, how long would it take for all those homes and condos that are currently on the market to sell off? So right now, as of today, we are sitting at 1 month of inventory. So if no more homes or condos came on the market as of today, it would take 1 month for all the inventory that's for sale to be sold. So that tells us we're in a very, very strong seller's market. It's why, again, you see values increasing. Now, be very careful what you hear in the media, right? Because if it bleeds, it leads. And why I mention that is because you'll hear or read a lot about in headlines, but when you dive in, you'll get to see what I'm about to talk about, but you'll see that, oh my God, values, a property just sold for $500,000 above asking. It just sold for $350,000 above asking. But I always want you to think that the asking price is irrelevant. It's done on purpose by both the seller and their real estate agent. If I had my way, I would list properties for $1. Why? Because then you actually have to do the homework, do the research to see either what comparable homes and condos sold for or what the income of the property is producing. Those are really the two ways. To come up with values. There's the income approach, and then there's what's called the direct comparison approach. Because the asking price, again, is irrelevant. You always want to see what comparable homes and condos have sold for, and or you want to look at what income is being produced through out of that property, which will determine value. Now, when we talk about the GTA, what I have seen in the last 7 to 8 years specifically is a massive rise in investors investing into new build condos. Because remember when I said that there's really no supply of homes, like detached and semi-detached homes, there's a lot more supply of condos. It's also what's affordable for tenants. And so when you look at the new build strategy of condos, it's very beneficial for investors for a lot of reasons. But I also want to speak about what you need to consider, because I want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. But it's probably by far the most passive and for a lack of a better word, the most boring investment, because it's similar to watching paint dry or watching grass grow, because you're buying a condo today and it's not going to be built out for anywhere from 3 to 3.5 years. And so you're not actually renting out a property because it's not built. But what that allows for, and a couple of the main benefits, is that you don't need to qualify, you don't need to get a mortgage. There is a qualification process, but that's more of a formality, just so the builder can go get their construction financing. But because there's nothing built, you actually can't get a mortgage on something. Number two, the down payment, as you know, in Ontario, the lender's requirements, the guidelines as an investor, you have to put down 20%. But when investing into a new build condo, what you're allowed to do and what you're able to do, and it's set up like this on purpose, that 20% is paid out in installments. So generally speaking, it works 5% in 30 days, 5% in 6 to 9 months, 5% in about 1.5 to 2 years, and then the final 5% at closing, so 3 to 3.5 years out. Now, I mean, that's really good from an investor's perspective, because now you can get you have flexibility in terms of doing other types of investments, or it's a great forced savings plan because you know you have to put the deposits down coming up in those installments. The other thing is that when you're buying in, let's just call it a 300 unit building, the builder actually forces the appreciation. How do they do that? Well, if it's 300 units, oh, I didn't even know we had all this. That's pretty nice. Great job. I just saw the screen change. If it's a 300 unit building, the builder is in the first absolute access of pricing, in the first allocation, they're going to release anywhere from 30 to call it 40 units. Now, those 30, 40 units are by far the ones that you want to invest in. In fact, if you as the public hear about a project, it's too late. Why? Because the builders already increased the pricing 3 to 4 times. Because the second time they give out an allocation of 40, 50 units, they've increased the pricing already by anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. Generally speaking, on average, so in the last 8 years, and I don't tell you this to impress you, it's more to impress upon you where the data's coming from. The last 8 years, we've done a little over 1,600 units for our investors. On average, from the day that you buy it to the day that it gets built, you're looking at an increase of anywhere from about $100,000 to $125,000. And that's just watching that paint dry. It's literally, you're going to give deposits, and the increases happen for 2 reasons. The forced appreciation that the builder does that I just spoke about, and number 2, you'll see the passive appreciation that the market is doing. I mean, last year 2021 to 2020, we saw that 21.6% increase, but I never want you to work that on a pro forma. That's obviously, it's an anomaly, and that's not, when you're working a pro forma, you want to be, in my opinion, ultra conservative. And so I would work off of not even the 7.2% that I quoted you in the last 40 years in the GTA. I would go ultra conservative and work off of 5% year over year. And so when you combine the passive appreciation along with the builder's forced appreciation, that's where you see that $100,000 to $120,000 increase. Now, when you're looking at a new build investment, you'll want to make sure that you look for 3 to 4 incentives, and that's only done at the time of signing. When you sign an agreement of purchase and sale, when it comes to a new build condo, automatically in Ontario, you get what's known as a 10-day due diligence period. Some call it a 10-day cooling off period. This is where you want to cross those T's and dot those I's with a lawyer, a real estate lawyer that specifically deals with new builds in the city you're buying. So if you're buying in Vancouver, don't use a Toronto lawyer, and vice versa. And what they're going to do is go over these 3-4 incentives. Number 1, we need to make sure as investors that we have an incentive and a clause in the agreement that allows us to rent the unit during occupancy. Because when it comes to a condo, there's two closings. There's occupancy and then there's registration. Occupancy is when the builder has said, okay, investor, the building passes all the safety regulations, but we haven't had the opportunity, or the condo corporation is not registered with the City of Toronto, Peel Region, Durham, wherever you're buying the condo. And so that time period is generally anywhere from 4 to 6 months. It could be a little less, it could be a little bit more, but right on average, it's about 4 to 6 months. Now, as an investor, if you can't rent it out during that period, you're paying an occupancy fee out of your pocket, but you're not collecting rent. So it doesn't make sense. And so we need to make sure that we're able to rent it out, because as long as we're able to rent it out, which is going to be at market value, at market rent, then that's actually the highest cash flow that you're going to see during your ownership of this condo, because you're not paying a mortgage, you're just paying an occupancy fee, which consists of the builder's interest portion on their mortgage, the maintenance fees, and the property tax. Second incentive that we always want to make sure that is in place is what's called an assignment clause. That essentially allows you to take the paper, the agreement of purchase and sale, and flip that to a new purchaser. It might be a new investor, it might be a new end user, someone who's going to be living in the property, but we need to make sure that you're allowed to do that. You're able to do the assignment. Now, and the main reason, in my opinion, again, that you want to have that is just to have as a security blanket. Because remember, you're buying today for something that's going to be built out 3.5 years from now. Life happens. Financial hardship. There's so many examples of things that can happen. So as long as we can flip the paper and flip the contract or do the assignment, then at least you have that security blanket. Now, some investors, and I'm not here to tell people what's right or wrong, for myself and my portfolio, some investors are only looking at condos to flip it. I believe that that's probably not the best way to look at it, because what if the market doesn't perform at the same rate that we've been talking about, and you needed it to perform at that rate for you to actually make a profit? So that's speculating. Like that's 100% speculation. I'm talking about investment and investing. And so for me, my macro thesis on investing in real estate is always buy and hold. I'm the boring guy when it comes to investing in real estate. Why? Because I get to sleep well at night advising my clients that if you buy property, the values are going to go up. They go up and down, but they always go up and down upwards. Andrea mentioned it earlier in terms of timing. It has nothing to do with trying to time the market. It all has to do with putting time in the market. Because if you look, as I mentioned, the last 100 years and the last 40 years, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't change my talk because it's just facts. Values continue to go upwards. And so if you hold on to your real estate, there's a reason the slogan of our company here at REC Canada is I'm glad I did, because we've heard it thousands upon thousands of times when people say, I wish I had kept that property. And maybe you know that person intimately yourself, but the amount of times we've heard people say, I wish I just kept that property because it went up, it double or triple or 4 times. And so as long as you hold on to the property, you now essentially can use that property as an ATM. How? Well, if you held on to it, you can refinance it, pull out the equity, and actually it's tax-free money. You can go to Vegas or Niagara Falls. But again, remember I told you I'm biased. I advise you to reinvest that into real estate. And that's exactly what I do with my own portfolio. And I've advised hundreds to do the same, and they do it. And we actually refinance it within the first 2 to 3 months of closing on a condo. So we'll buy a condo for $600,000. When we close on it, it's worth $720,000, $730,000. The bank will give me an 80% loan to value, okay? And I am essentially gonna own that condo now when I do the refinance with zero of my own money, because they're gonna give me back pretty much the down payment that I put in. Maybe it's a little less than that, but let's just say it's 90% of the down payment that I actually put in. So now you get to own a condo in the GTA with zero down. Going back to the incentives, I went over so far the lease during occupancy, the assignment. The third thing is that you want to make sure that your development charges are capped. And the reason for that is because the city charges the developers a development charge. And for each unit, it could be anywhere from 30, 40, $50,000 that the developer pays. And we don't know what that's going to be because we're buying today for something that's going to close 3.5 years from now. And so what we want to do is get it capped, and we essentially have that pre-negotiated. Right now, the going kind of rate for a one bedroom in the GTA is anywhere from, I'm going to say, $10,000 to $12,000 for those capped development charges. And for a two bedroom, you're probably looking at anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000. And so as long as it's capped, 3 years from now, if it comes in at 50,000, the developer's out of the rest of the money. We just need to pay what we capped it at. If for some reason, and there's odd situations that it does happen, and it's good for the investor, that it comes out less, you're still only paying what the actual charge is. So if it came in at $8,000, you just pay the $8,000. So that's some of the main benefits of investing into a new build. Now, as I mentioned to you earlier, I want to make sure that you understand what you need to consider, some of the cons, for lack of a better word, where you got to understand that once you get past that 10-day due diligence period, that 10-day cooling off time, that you're now locked into this condo. So you can't get out. Your money is not liquid. You got to wait until you're able to do the assignment if you wanted to get out sooner. Another thing that I hear from investors, which again is very true, is, well, I'm not getting any principal pay down because I can't rent out the property because obviously it's not built, which is something that you definitely need to look at when you're looking at a new build and looking at your portfolio. Is this something that makes sense for you in terms of, are you looking for something passive? See, for me, like, I'm not sure how much you guys see behind me here, but you see a bunch of shelves. I mean, I'm not, like, you don't want to put a hammer in Jaz's hands. Everybody knows that. Do not put a hammer in my hands. I'm not an active investor in that sense. I have a full-time job. And so I like to have my investments very, very passive. This just allows for that because of that flexibility on the down payment that I spoke about. It also gives me time, right? It gives me time. So for example, right now I have 3 condo closings coming up in the next 15 to 16 months out from today. And so now I have options. I have options if I'm going to do an assignment, which 99.9% of the time I wouldn't do the assignment, going back to buying and holding, or I can close on it myself, or I could possibly bring in a joint venture partner and say, Kemba, Andrea, look, this property's gone up by $100,000. I've already put in my 20%, but I can't get the financing. Did you want to be a joint venture partner with me? And you don't have to put any money down, and I'll give you 20% equity of the deal. Or did you guys want to put in 50%? And we can do this together and we'll go 50-50 on the deal. So it gives you options. It gives you exit options on how you're going to close and if you're going to close. It's by far been the number one investment that we right now see investors make money with in the Greater Toronto area. It definitely is the best investment for somebody who's, in my opinion, again, just getting started with investing in real estate, because it allows you to get your feet wet. It really allows you to kind of get a taste of investing in a very passive way, and it still kind of double downs as an income property once it gets built, because we're talking about 500 to 600 square foot condos. If we go the 1 bedroom route, rental incomes will cover your expenses. You might have to put in $100 a month yourself. They're not a massive cash flowing play. That you're not going to be making $1,000 a month, But if you look at the return on the investment, you're always in and around that 30 to 31, 32% year over year return on your investment. And so, I mean, I think if the ladies are okay with it, I would love to open it up for Q&A, and get deep into any questions in and around investing into real estate.
Okay.
Absolutely, Jaz. I think that we've been answering a few in the chat, but definitely people, this is your opportunity to speak to Jaz, who's an expert here, and giving you major bombs here on how to be successful in the GTA in condos. So any questions, type them in the chat box. We're happy to help, or, we can unmute you.
Started because, I had a question, and so I'm going to get
Okay.
So Jaz, you mentioned that, that first 40 condos that sell on a new construction, that's, where the money's at sometimes.
I'm taking that as, Jaz, that's where I make money.
Yes. Yeah. So as an investor, look, you can buy in the second allocation of units or the third allocation even of units. You're still going to make a profit. However, the person who gets in the first allocation of units is going to make the most money, because
Yes.
you're going to be part of the price increases that the developer is going to do. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, that the developer wants to sell out of their whole building. In fact, the developer never sells out. Even when they say it's sold out, they're not lying. What they're saying is that it's sold out to that 80% mark.
80%, yeah.
Because they always want to hold approximately 10 to 20% of the building until it's actually built, because that's when end users, people who are actually going to live in the unit, they'll always pay more for anything that they can smell, touch, and actually see, right? And so they hold those till the end. But as an investor, you always want to get in the first access of pricing. And for us, and for me, I get about 50 projects at my desk every single year. I only get loud, and some would say maybe obnoxious, about 6 to 8 of them, because only 6 to 8 pass my due diligence, because I'm always looking at the location of the building, because I can't pick it up and move it. And I want to be always, if I can, as close as possible to transit. In fact, I want to be, if I really could wave a magic wand, if life was perfect, I would want to be less than 500 meters from transit, because Harvard did a study about 3 years ago, I think it was, that showcases world real estate right across all major cities in the world. And what they were showcasing was what happens to real estate values and how rentability is affected when you purchase a property 500 meters or less around major transit, LRT, GO Transit, and obviously subway. And so if I can get under 500 meters, that's what I'm looking for in terms of location. Number two, part of my due diligence is the builder's reputation. I want to make sure that it's not the first time at the rodeo for the builder, that you and I as investors, or you as my client, are not being used as the guinea pigs here. I want to make sure that the builder has a great reputation. And then number three, I want to make sure all those incentives are in place: the assignment, the lease during occupancy, and the cap developments.
We had two questions which we kind of answered. Someone was asking about how to get access to these types of, pre-construction, like early on deals. Someone else was asking about student rentals. We weren't really focused on student rentals, but there are condos in student markets.
Yeah, and to your first question, I'm not sure what you guys had put in the chat or anything. I mean, whatever you guys feel is best. I mean, get in touch with Kemba and Andrea, get in touch with me directly, whatever's easier for everyone. In terms of the student rentals, Yes, there's condos, but I mean, if there's a specific question around student rentals, I'm more than happy. And if people want to take this conversation to like multiplexes and commercial investing, anything of that sort, please feel free and open to ask those questions as well. I mean, I have a lot of experience with student rentals, and my clients do as well. But getting access is very, very easy. Just get in touch with me and I'll make sure that you get access.
Mhm. And then we have another question about and Craig, you gave quite a detailed answer there, so thank you. But the next question was about horror stories, and so one thing I'll just preface that with is we try to stay away from horror stories because they can really skew us. um, but the full question is that, you know, they've heard that builders may return a deposit after the prices go up. Does that happen often, and what does that mean?
Does it happen? Yes. Does it happen often? I'm going to say no. Out of 16 years that I've been doing this, in the GTA specifically, because as long as you go with, and that's why the number 2 part of my due diligence is builder's reputation, because a builder that wants to keep their reputation high, they don't want to do that, because if they do that to Kemba, Andrea's never going to buy. If they do that to Andrea, I'm never going to want to deal with that. Well, if they do it to Kemba, I'm still not going to want to do it. I wasn't trying to single you just out, Kemba. But either, like, if they do that to a friend of mine or a family member, I'm not going to want to do business with them. And so, does it happen? Yes, it's very, very rare. Your deposits, remember I talked about the 5%, 5%, 5%, and 5%. Those are always held in the lawyer's trust account, and these builders are only working with like 5 of the top law firms. In fact, there's only 5 that actually do all these transactions and write up these agreement of purchase and sales. It's always held in the builder's lawyer's trust account. The builder doesn't even have access to it. They can't even touch the money. They just show the deposit receipts to their financier.
Mhm. Very good.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, I should add, if it gets canceled, if it does get canceled, you always get your deposit back. So you do
Yes.
definitely get your deposit back. Some of the builders that were, though they did get canceled, they did pay out an interest. And now, was it as high as what the values went up by? No, but at least purchasers got their money back, as well as some interest on it. But yeah, that's something that you always have to watch out for when it comes to new builds. Not if you're buying with a reputable builder. They just don't do that because they're not going to want to, they know that they're in it for the long haul.
Next question is, what is the best product to buy, pre-construction or resale? Prices are so high now with pre-construction. How do you make the numbers jive? Maintenance fees, utilities, taxes. Would something like a resale, like a bungalow with 2 units, be a safer option slightly outside of the GTA?
Yes and yes. Here's the thing. I think everyone's situation is different. And so, but let me give you some more context around my answer. See, if you can get a bungalow right now in the GTA and have the rental income cover the expenses, I would sway, and you have the 20%, because when you buy resale, you need to put that 20% down right away. And so if you're buying a bungalow, I mean, on average right now, we're looking at $1 million, almost touching 1.1 million in the GTA. Chances are the rental income is not going to cover the expenses on those 2 units. So you have to go a little bit bigger in terms of going closer to multiplexes. And even that, with 20% down, you're not seeing the numbers work. And so when it comes to condos, new builds, you have that flexibility of putting down the 20% over the 3 years, and rents have an opportunity to catch up. Because see, if we start to forecast conservatively rents, what they'll be in 3.5 years, pre-COVID in the GTA, rents were increasing 3 years prior by 11% year over year. 11% year over year. And so let's go conservative to about 4 to 4.5% year over year. In Ontario, if it's a new build built after 2018, the rental guidelines don't apply. You can increase the rent on that tenant to whatever you'd like. with your current tenant. So that's always another added on benefit. But I love looking at the resale market. I mean, I don't only invest in new build. Majority of my portfolio now is new build because of that, all those benefits I spoke about, having time. But looking at the resale market is definitely something that I would consider. Here's the other thing. I mean, I'm a long-term investor, right? So what I mean by that is that even if I had to put in $100 to $200 a month, I have a day job. That pays me well and it keeps my expenses going. I'm looking for long-term passive appreciation as well as principal pay down, knowing that I can always write off my $150 loss as well. It actually helps my accountant. And if you're paying, call it for easy math, call it $200 a month. If you're paying out $2,400 a month, but you're making $30,000, if you're paying $200 a month, which is $2,400 a year out of your left pocket, but you're making $30,000 in your right pocket in a safe haven. That's why people invest into the GTA, not because of cash flow. They invest into the GTA because they know it's safe. This is where everybody's coming. That's proven. 50% of immigration comes to the GTA. If you're making $30,000, but you're paying out $24,000, I mean, the math still works out, but that's something that you need to figure out for yourself. My clients, they invest into the GTA for that one reason. They know it's safe. They know tenant's going to leave. Great. Bring in another tenant. I mean, only one of the only places in the country, actually even North America, that still saw that 22, 21% increase even in the lockdown. But take that out of the equation, even the last year, this anomaly, as I've been calling it, the outlier of last year, you still have seen a 7.2% year over year increase. And for me, compounding, that just makes me sleep well at night.
One of the questions was what does a new owner need to prepare for, or a new investor to take care of a condo?
That's actually why I love it. That's why I made the comment about not putting a hammer in Jaz's hands, because the nice thing about these 600 square foot condos, the one bedrooms, and 650, 700 square foot 2-bedroom condos and they're brand new. You don't really need to, there's not a lot of maintenance involved, right? The odd thing breaks, i.e. a burner on a stove, a light fixture. You obviously, when a tenant leaves, you probably would want to repaint and stuff. Excuse me, but there's not much. Majority of things are covered in the maintenance fees. Whatever's not covered in the maintenance fees, utilities, is paid by the tenant. And when something goes wrong, you send over a handyman. But we're talking about small stuff. I mean, all the appliances, they come with the unit. They're under warranty. So there's actually just not a lot of maintenance involved. There's not a lot that you need to budget for repairs. Now, is that something that you might have to deal with 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road? Yeah, but it would be minuscule, because you might need to change the fridge in 10, 12 years because there's been a lot of wear and tear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Would you suggest that a young person with a high credit score, would you suggest for a young person with a high credit score, full-time employment and a 45K deposit, anxious to get into the market, prices are daunting? What would you suggest that they do?
So the high credit score has $45,000 down, and there was another metric that you gave me. Full-time employment. Yeah, I would definitely look and get into the investment, but that doesn't necessarily mean a new build. Depends on like living circumstances. But one thing that I've seen work is house hacking in terms of living in the basement of a home. That's maybe when I would look at a bungalow, by the way, as well. Like you live in the basement, you're able to do it with 5 to 10% down, especially if you have a high credit score. I didn't hear income, but if it's good income and you can cover, I apologize, you can qualify for the mortgage, I would buy with 10% or 5% down, and rent out the upstairs, live downstairs. And then when you're ready to move out, you move out of the basement and rent out the basement. But for someone who's younger, who doesn't have the 20% down, that might be the situation based on the question. that's why I love new builds, because it's a forced savings plan, especially for younger. I don't know what younger means. They didn't mention it, but anyone that is in like my circle that's 22, 23, 24, I tell them right away, like, get into a new build. Why? Because it's the best forced savings plan, and it's going to keep you away from buying stupid things like cars that you don't really like, expensive cars that you don't really need to impress people that you don't really care about. Like, that's a different seminar, different workshop, a different conversation for another day. But if I can protect younger people from buying things that are depreciating and not appreciating, I think that I'm doing my job. But that you, once you sign, as I mentioned earlier, and you're in that, you pass that 10-day due diligence period, 10-day cooling off period, then you have to move forward, and it forces you to save, because you know you have to come up with the 5%. And I'm starting to see a lot more younger people get into the market that way. They're still living with mommy and daddy, which is fantastic. I think it's the best bank in the world, by the way. But over and above that, they're actually saving towards a condo that they'll rent out, maybe they'll live in, and if anything, they can sell it.
So Jaz, I think you've answered some, given some great answers here. I would like to give an open to the last question, because we know Jaz has to get some rest. He has a full-time job he has to come back to tomorrow, and I'm sure you do too. So last question, and then we'll just wrap it up for Jaz. Oh, sorry, Craig.
Well, Craig was just saying he wanted to know when, and maybe Jaz, you can explain and answer this too. If pre-construction, so if you're buying a pre-construction, how do you research when the development or the developer will begin construction? Like, how do you know when they start? Do they provide that?
Yeah, so if you purchase a condo today, they're always going to give you an occupancy date, an estimated occupancy date. I've been doing this for 16 years. I've never seen a building be built on time. So whatever they tell you, I don't know why that would be the first.
Jaz, I've had one.
Close on the
last year. I closed it, and it closed. They actually closed on time, wow. And I was just floored. And no occupancy.
How many stories?
It is 35, I believe, and it's Chinese, so they skip a few floors because of numbers. But it's downtown Liberty Village. They closed on time, no occupancy.
Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, I know, Zen.
Absolutely.
Got it. I bought in there as well. Yeah. Mine wasn't actually on time. Actually, mine was still delayed. I was. What floor were you on, if you don't mind me asking?
11. So I'm really young.
Got it. Yeah, exactly. But yes, okay. So one in the 16 years.
I was shocked. I was like, they're never going to be on time. But I was like, I just thought I'd share that with you. They were on time.
That's so cool. Center Court, who's the builder on that building.
Center Court is the builder.
Yeah. They do very well. In fact, what they're known for is no occupancy. They go straight into registration.
I really didn't expect it.
Yeah. And so you'll get that, you'll get an estimated occupancy date, and the builder will start to give you, like they'll start to send you emails and letters in the mail when they break ground, and that's the longest part. Like, building underground parking takes the longest. Mm-hmm. Because you need to dig and get down there, especially with our winters, some seasons, right? And so once they start digging, and they'll give you periodic updates, and that's how you'll know when construction is going to be done. And then we're going to be in touch with you, and the lawyers are going to be in touch with you. It really is a full team effort when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm. So Jaz, thank you so much for that. Before we wrap up and let you go, because you've been on for a while, and we do have a little more presentation after you leave, but we'd love for you to maybe just pick 2 names out of the list of participants. If we can get the video up here, I'm going to unpin your video just because we have some prizes at the end.
Cool.
I wanted you to just maybe pick the winners so that we don't.
All right. How do I do this? Give me one second. Are you bringing up a bunch of names? All right. I'm going to start with my lucky number.
Okay.
Always been my lucky number. It's number 13.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with my
Michelle
second.
Scott.
Whoa! Congrats, Michelle. We'll show you your prize at the end. Yay! That's very good. Now the next number.
I'm gonna go with number 7.
I hope
Colin. It's Colin.
Colin, Colin Popon.
Yes.
Colin, are you there? You just won something. Very good. Colin's on mute. He's maybe multitasking.
I think so, yeah, because I saw Colin earlier.
We'll send him a congrats later. Okay, so Marcia, if you just let me share again, then we can.
Andrea is the host now.
Oh, am I? Well, even if I was the host, people are trying to get in and I can't let them in. Are you sure? Because it's not allowing me to do anything.
Let me.
Yeah,
We can still see your screen.
Yeah.
I know, but I can't even see the Zoom anymore, right? So I don't know what happened.
Okay.
And you know how it works for me.
Figure that out. Jaz, as you can see, we may need some technology experts here at Keen.
Here, I think I found it now.
You got it?
Yeah.
So,
To both of you, like at any time, just reach out. I'll get you in touch with my team, and however I can bring value, just let me know.
Will do. That was an awesome presentation, guys. If any other questions come up, you can definitely email them to us. We can take them over to Jaz. You can reach out directly. So we are going to wrap it up. We're a little over the 1 hour we offered you to spend with us. And so we really appreciate you taking the time. We hope you've learned something. We have lots of offers in the back end. I think we can just share the prizes right now. Since we aren't going to get to the presentation right away, but I know.
I don't want to, I can't give it back to you, Marcia. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're going to run with it.
I was trying. Oh, it says only one host. Okay, let's see. So
I know. So Michelle, your winning is actually $100 Amazon card. And it's for it's sponsored by Javalogics, which is a internet marketing, and they can help you market your product, yourself, branding, all that, and get you out there. And so they sponsored the Amazon card. We'll send out their details at the end. So thank you, Javalogics. And then we also have a Google Home. And so Colin, that's what you won. Although you're quiet, we know you're.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, ladies. I haven't won something in a very long time.
Oh, nice.
So thank you.
So we'll be in touch with you to get that to you. So congrats to the 2 winners. And we'll send you details. We wanted to share a little bit about our programs and how we've been investing. And so we'll share that with you in email later on. So guys, have a wonderful night. Jaz, we really, really appreciate the time and all the insights. And we look forward to working with you.
Thanks so much for having me, everyone. I really appreciate it. Hope I brought some value to the conversation, and have you guys an amazing, amazing week.
You too. Everyone, have a great night.
Thanks a lot, Jaz.
Hello, guys. You were here with Kemba Williams and Andrea Williams, and we are just recapping our session that we had last night and covering some items that we want to say thank you to our guest, Jaster Carr. He's the real estate broker investor podcast host who was on with us, and he shared so many amazing insights, including the major market indicator you want to look for, which is months of inventory. And he also covered some incentives that you should be looking for when you are looking at a condo or interested in buying a condo. So rent during occupancy, assignment clause, development charges, a cap. So those are some important takeaways, and we're so grateful and happy that Jaz was able to share with us. Make sure you catch the replay of that session, and we're just gonna wrap it up in a quick video.
And we had two amazing sponsors for this event. We were able to select our winners. One was for the $100 Amazon gift card from JavaLogic, who is an amazing website and digital marketing consultant service. Michelle Scott was our winner for that. Yes, we're so excited to be able to share this prize. And we had one other prize as well that we were able to provide to Colin. I don't remember his last name. Papone, was it?
Yes, yes.
And Colin was the winner of our Google Home device that was donated by PW Wealth, who focuses, and that's my company, who focuses on helping to build your wealth. And we offer short and long-term rentals in the Toronto and Brampton area. So if you ever need a short-term stay, we're available. And those were two prizes. And I know the winners were very ecstatic. So thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. And so what we cover when we are as investors are looking at property, in addition to what Jaz covered, we always look for location. Location. That's why it's at the top of the list. We look for at the rental and resale market. So what would that property either rent for or sell for when we're ready to sell it? Deposit structures, so longer deposit structures, especially on pre-construction condos, are sometimes helpful depending on your timeline, or if you want to get into it sooner, then you want a shorter structure. We want to look at the builder reputation and the features and incentives that are being offered with that condominium. So, Jaz mentioned some of the main features you want: assignments and rental during occupancy, and as well the development charges being capped. So those are some of the features. Now in today's world, some energy efficiency, other features are great depending on what your needs and goals are. You want to look at any restrictions in your policy. So are there restrictions to being able to rent or Airbnb in that property? So that might restrict you as an investor, but if you're looking at it as solely as a first-time buyer who wants to live in it, maybe it might work. But definitely, if you have an investor mindset, you want to be able to gain rental income from it at some point. And then we also look at the layout of the unit and making sure that the unit is the best style that would suit our needs for rental or living purposes. So those are the things we look at.
And as you saw at the beginning, we have a number of services that we offer, coaching, real estate coaching being one of those services. And Jaz has been a great coach and mentor to Kemba and I, and continues to be that. And we just want to be able to offer you as well the ability to be coached to successful purchases so that you can have the success to build a fantastic real estate portfolio that may build that legacy, that income stream that you want for your lives today and for future generations to come. So we are going to cover and show you how we do that.
So one of the things we offer in addition to coaching, and as a coaching client, you actually get to do this course inclusive for free, but when you want to take the course as a standalone, we also offer that. And what we cover is unconventional ways to home ownership. We offer ways of helping you fix your credit, because credit is huge when you're trying to get into real estate, securing your deposit, locations to buy, buying with cash flow. We always want to look for cash flow, how to analyze a property and the two tie together, creating successful partnerships, because with the home prices right now, sometimes it is critical to partner to be able to buy real estate, and establishing your real estate team. So those are some important parts. The devil is in the details, and having the knowledge that empowers you is really what we try to do with the CPS course.
So some of the dates that we offer for this course is, they begin this summer. We're excited. It's a new series of courses, the session that we're offering in a live version. So beginning July, and it will run 3 3 weekends, I believe, in July. And so please, if you're interested, you can register for any of the 3 sessions, either July, August, or September. And we've got the Friday, Saturday sessions of each weekend, 3 weekends throughout the summer or throughout each month. And it's varying times from 6 on a Friday till 8:30 and on a Saturday from 9 till 12:30. And again, Kemba's already covered all the amazing information, and all the secrets that we're going to share with you will be available in each of those 3 sessions in a digital, and we'll also have it soon in a digital version for you.
And what it helps you to do is really build the confidence you need in your ability to buy either your first property or your first investment property. So whether you're living in it or you're using it for rental purposes, what we want to do is give you the confidence to take action, not sit on the sidelines. So we have 6 accelerated sessions. So we've changed the format a bit, and we're getting you through it a lot quicker. That's why we're doing 3 weekends in a row, and we're trying to get you in for about 6 hours each weekend, just so that you can absorb all that and then jump into your next steps of buying. We also offer very practical guides from, templates and tools that you can use as you build your portfolio, as you get into renting, and that's a bonus value of $600. The coaching, the 6 sessions are a value of $11.97. And there's also access to a vibrant community of investors, like-minded people who are interested in building wealth and building a legacy for themselves and their families. And we also give you lifetime access to that community. So when you think of how priceless this is, you can buy, you can get a asset with up $300,000 and up, and you've just paid a small sum of $17.97. And today we have an offer for you on that. And we're going to
cover it shortly.
Yes,
we're waiting. It's our upcoming.
Working with the Keen Real Estate Group has been such a blessing. Their 12-session coaching program has started me on my way to building a legacy.
Amazing. That's one of our excellent clients. She is she got in and she started buying right away, and it was
she was only a few sessions in and she had already committed, and she's made her first, and in fact her first purchase was a condo. So she has been able to benefit from the experience that we've been able to share with her and lead her to partnerships like our great brokers and agents that help you make great, successful real estate transactions. So for the course that Kemba sort of alluded to at the $17.97, we've got an amazing deal for you here. Our course this summer that we're offering is the cost to you is 70% off. That is only $597 for everything that we've shared in, all from the beginning of learning mindset to all the way through to taking action and, having access to an amazing community, all of that. You're going to have, we said 18 hours of the course that you'll, be doing over 3 weekends with us, delivering it live in a session that you can even ask questions and experience opportunities to discuss and talk about the concepts right in those sessions. We have the 12 practical how-to guides, the community access, which is fantastic, because in that community group, we're always sharing the most recent and upcoming opportunities that sometimes maybe haven't even hit the market, so that you can have access to deals that, will save you and potentially, accelerate your real estate investing. So, and of course, it's lifetime access to this knowledge and access to the community that will give you ongoing, support and confidence that you need when you come across difficult times, right? So valued at $17.97, but given to you for $597. And as we said, it's really priceless, but we know that in the GTA, it's worth at least $300,000 in up value, because you're likely going to be making a purchase of $500,000 or more, right? Unless you're out of the GTA. And so you can register for our course, Kemba.
Yes, you can register at www.keengroup.ca, keen-silver-program. and we have the coupon code for you, IMKEAN 2021. And we want you to start July 9th or one of the dates in the summer so that you can get started and get going.
And we'll include this code in the email so that you'll have it as well. But absolutely, get registered now.
Get registered, get registered.
Yeah, if you want to buy and you want to make a good, successful first or successful first rental or first principal, then this is the course for you and this is the time to do it. And we'll absolutely have great information that we're sharing with you from experts that we've learned from and courses ourselves that we've taken and coaching that we've done. So join us. We look forward to seeing you July 9th.
Awesome. Take care, guys.